The adrenal glands are on top of each kidney. Each adrenal gland is made up of 2 glands. The inside is the adrenal medulla, regulated by the sympathetic nervous system, and the outside is the adrenal cortex, stimulated by ACTH. The adrenal medulla is for short-term stress. It's activated by the sympathetic nervous system to produce epinephrine, or adrenaline, during stress, the fight or flight response. Epinephrine increases blood glucose by causing the liver to convert glycogen to glucose. It increases heart rate and blood pressure. It increases breathing rate. Blood vessels dilate, for example, to the large muscles needed to run. And pupils dilate to take in more information. The adrenal cortex, remember, releases 2 hormones, aldosterone and cortisol. It is stimulated by ACTH from the anterior pituitary. Cortisol is released during long-term stress. It targets the liver and muscles. It increases levels of amino acid in the blood to help body recover from stress. The liver converts the amino acids into glucose, which is released into the blood for more energy. Hyposecretion can result in fatigue, muscle loss, and weight loss, and too much hypersecretion can result in rapid weight gain in the face, abdomen, and chest, and high blood pressure. Let's look at how this works. Stress results from changes in the external environment. It signals sensory receptors. Sympathetic impulses are sent to the adrenal medulla, which secretes epinephrine for the fight or flight response. So blood glucose increases. Blood glycerol and fatty acids increase. That's fat. Heart rate increases. Blood pressure rises. Breathing rate increases. Air passages dilate, pupils dilate, and blood flow redistributes. The long-term stress stage, CRH, is released from the hypothalamus, which goes to the pituitary to release ACTH, which goes to the adrenal cortex to release cortisol for long-term stress. Cortisol causes an increase in blood concentration of amino acids, increased release of fatty acids, and increased glucose formed from non-carbohydrates, amino acids from proteins, and glycerol from fats. Epinephrine is released in response to short-term stress, and it's released because of the sympathetic nervous system stimulating the adrenal medulla. Epinephrine has a variety of responses, including increased heart rate and breathing rate. Note that this is a flow chart and not a negative feedback loop. When the emergency is over, the sympathetic nervous system simply stops stimulating the adrenal medulla. Feedback loop for cortisol. Remember, it's for long-term stress. The hypothalamus releases CRH, or ACTHRF, which goes to the pituitary to release ACTH. It stimulates the adrenal cortex to release cortisol. Cortisol increases amino acids in blood, which goes to the liver to be converted to glucose. Once there's enough energy produced, then it turns down the production of its precursors. Let's talk about ADH versus aldosterone. ADH is released from the pituitary in response to dehydration. Aldosterone is released from the adrenal cortex in response to low blood pressure. They might be released at the same time if the person has dehydration, so kind of like thick blood, and also low blood pressure. A time when only ADH would be released and not aldosterone is after a salty meal. So ADH would be released to bring more water into the blood, but aldosterone would not be released at that time because it causes reabsorption of sodium into the blood from the kidney. So it would make the problem of having salty blood even worse. Both ADH and aldosterone increase water in blood, increase blood pressure, and create less urine, which is more concentrated. Aldosterone, think S for reabsorption of sodium, is from the adrenal cortex. It targets the kidneys to increase sodium reabsorption into the blood. Water follows by osmosis, which increases blood pressure. This results in lower blood volume and more concentrated urine. Hyposecretion results in water loss or dehydration. Hypersecretion means increased water retention.